Hi, welcome back to Lam Rim. And I don't know, we're having trouble waking up. Happy Earth Day. And those of you who have Vajrayogini practice, it's also Sechu. And among the two kinds of Sechu, it's a 10th Sechu, which means the moon is waxing. And that's a nice crescent to bow down to, if you know what I'm talking about. It's the best crescent to bow down to. Okay, all right. So anyway, it's a good day. Here we go. We're going to start at She Lana Me, okay? She Lana Me. And don't forget where we are. By the way, I always start talking fast in the early morning. It's the coffee, right, Pachi? So anyway, I'll slow down. We're in the middle of Tsongkhapa explaining Chandakirti, explaining Nagarjuna, which Pabongka Rinpoche used in his Lamrim, okay? Especially about who gives birth to who, right? Okay, so we were talking about the idea of Sambhara. To wake you up for $50, who can tell me Sambhara? It's not Sambhara, by the way, which is Chakra Sambhara.
It's about carrying.
What? Close.
Carrying the wife.
Oh, good, yeah, Sambhara, to carry very much. But it's the word for Gewa, the so
Embracing the two collections.
yeah, the two collections, okay? So I don't owe anybody money, right?
No.
That I should pay myself. Oh, guess you might. Yeah, Sambhara means collection. But remember, Tsongkhapa says, look, the bhar can mean to embrace somebody. And maybe that's what wife really means, huh? The embracer. So I gotta think about that. Anyway, the two collections means the two big piles of pure good karma that we need to make a Buddha body and a Buddha mind, okay? And he's talking about those two collections, okay? Lana mepe chanju chinji malo perdupe tapgi. So when we say two collections, what it really means is to get it right. Wisdom and merit, okay? To do them perfectly. And it doesn't mean accumulate more numbers of good deeds or something. Like if you don't get enough good deeds, you don't get your Buddha arm. You got one arm. It's not like that, okay? Although it feels like that, doesn't it, when you say collection. So he says, please remember that the word Sambhara, collection, which is the word we use for karma when we're talking about Buddhas or what creates Buddhas, don't forget, Tsongkhapa says, embrace. Embrace what? Here's the answer, Dwe Bur Dzin, okay? Dwe Bur Dzin. It embraces the final result, okay? So if it's a collection, if it's really good karma, it will embrace a Buddha's body and mind, okay? That's all. Why are we talking about that? Well, for one thing, you're going to be short on your collection of something if you don't have bodhicitta. Merit, yeah, okay. All right. Okay. There's a normal kind of collection of good karma if you don't talk about it in terms of embracing perfection. You know, normal people can pile up karma, and we can call it Sambhara, but that's not what it really means, okay? All right. This is the real meaning of Sambhara, okay? Sambhara, okay. The point is, what separates even self-made Buddhas from listeners is that they are better at collecting, okay, at collecting. All right. Now, he's talking about even in the desire realm, in their final birth, Lopen Shenki Tembala. Now he's talking about what is a self-made Buddha, right? And you guys know this story. What's the nickname for a self-made Buddha?
Medium.
Yeah, medium Buddha or a half Buddha. I'm starting to like half Buddha. I just started to consider that translation. So Drupal Kamsa Yang, in their final rebirth, and they say in the desire realm, okay? They don't need other teachers, okay? And the minute somebody hears that, and I've watched it for 50 years, everyone says, I don't need a teacher. I'm this one. I'm this guy, you know? I don't need a teacher. I know everything. That's a very dangerous attitude, okay? And I've had it, so I know about it, but you do need a teacher. You do need teachers, okay? These are very unusual beings who can pretty much get to enlightenment. By the way, consider this, okay? It's not that they got really close in their last life and then they fell in front of a truck. Okay, it's not like that. I mean, you feel like it should be like that, right? It's not like that. It's that in their last life, they finally got the collections good enough to create nirvana, but they couldn't finish. They got the karma to get to nirvana, but it didn't go off, and then they died, okay? So they're a person who has the karma in their heart to reach nirvana almost immediately, but they died. So it's not like they collected all this karma and then they can work more in this life or something like that. It's not really like that. It's that they were about to reach nirvana and something happened. And then in this life, there's no choice. They have to reach nirvana. That karma is called Drshta Adrshta Janma Vredanya. What sutra is that? The Yoga Sutra, okay? Drshta Janma Vedanya. In their next life, Adrshta, they will, not seen in this life, seen in the next life, they will reach nirvana. Got it? Okay, so they got all this karma together, and then they died. And that's why we say they don't need a teacher in the next life. It's not that they somehow teach themselves. It's that the karma is already in motion. And they couldn't avoid it if they wanted to. You see what I mean? It's not that they are super smart, which is what people think when they hear they don't need a teacher. It's that they just died accidentally and that they were gonna reach nirvana anyway, okay? So it's not that in this life they're so smart they don't need a teacher. It's that the karma was already projected. They just died. If they don't do anything, they're still gonna reach nirvana in this life, okay? Because the karma was strong, okay? All right, yay, gom chom, what is that? Tamate, lopen shengi tembala mito per drachombe yeshi kene shin deyang rang chikbu chir sangyepate drachom topa. When we say they reach their enlightenment, it means they reach nirvana, okay? When we say they are self-made Buddha, they're not a Buddha. Okay, self-made Buddhas are not Buddhas. Did they reach enlightenment? No. They reached the enlightenment of their track. And that's why they go around saying words like total enlightenment, which used to irritate me. What, you can get half enlightened? You know what, part of your brain gets it? Why do you say total enlightenment? In fact, the Sanskrit is samyak sambuddha, yan dapa zope sangye. Total, perfectly total enlightenment. Isn't every enlightenment perfectly total enlightenment? The answer is no. Good. Rang sangye she jawa rang chung she kyang sungo. Yeah, therefore, when we say, by the way, the Sanskrit is pratyeka Buddha, the Tibetan is rang sangye, but what it means is rang chung. Say rang chung. There's a very famous Rangchung in Tibetan, $50. Rangchung Yeshi, Rangchung Buddha. Come on. Okay, cancel the bet. If a stone, like a boulder, looks like a Buddha, we call it Rangchung. Like you pick up a leaf and it looks like a Buddha head or something. That's called Rangchung. And it's a special kind of karma. Like when I was doing some deep retreats in a cave, I couldn't find a cave that didn't have snakes and coyotes in them and tarantulas. And then I saw a big boulder that looked like my teacher's head. And I said, that's it, And it was getting dark, and I climbed up and I found this cave, So that kind of boulder is called Rangchung, okay? Why are we talking about that? These Buddhas are self-made Buddhas, okay? The Sanskrit is solitary Buddha. The Tibetan is self-Buddha. And Tsongkhapa says the self means self-made Buddha, okay? So I don't call them self-Buddhists because you'd be confused. I always translate it as self-made Buddha. And that comes from this sentence in Tsongkhapa. He says self-Buddha means self-made Buddha. And the Tibetan word is Rangchung. And in other Tibetan traditions, the idea of Rangchung Yeshi, self-made wisdom, is very important, okay? Like, what's his name? Who born in Padma Sambhara, okay? All right. Yay, here we go. By the way, I have a picture of a lady making a pot. Yeah, I just feel like she's creating her in light. She's making herself into a Buddha, okay? I think of her as the pot. And it's a nice idea of, I just had this vision of a potter making herself into a Buddha. It's kind of a nice idea, right? Okay. Now, the original lines by Chandakirti, Master Chandakirti, where he talks about who gave birth to who. He says the listeners and the self-made Buddhas came from the...
Buddhists.
But he didn't use the word Buddha. He used Munendra. $50. Munendra, Sanskrit.
The highest of munis.
Yeah,
sages.
nice.
Yeah.
$50. Jigme, pay Jigme $50. That's self-made money. Okay, and we'll split it afterwards. Okay. Now, yeah, so Muni means Buddha, and the Tibetans translate it as able one, Tupa, capable one. Okay? Like Tupten is a common Tibetan name. It means the teachings of the able ones. Okay? Tupten. So Muni means capable one. What's it mean in Sanskrit, really? Mauna. Yeah, Gyaltse got it. Mauna means spiritual silence, to keep spiritual silence, which we didn't keep at all this retreat. I don't know what happened. Anyway, I guess it was the time, it was coming out of virus times and we all want to talk to each other. So anyway, Muni means, the ancient meaning is the one who doesn't talk much. And it's a famous synonym for a Buddha. They don't talk much, okay? They don't blah blah, okay? And then Indra means Lord of the Gods. And it means the one who drops the rain down, okay? Indra means like unendate, means to drop water. and Dra is a doer. Okay, so it's rain sender. Rain sender is Indra. So, but it means Lord of the gods, number one god. So Munendra is the name that Chandrakirti gave to the Buddhas in his famous opening lines about who was born by whom, who was born from whom, okay? Then the listeners and the self-made Buddhas got born from the Lord of sages, right? Right? Lord of the able ones. And then who gave birth to them? Bodhicitta. And then who gave birth to the Bodhicitta? There's three people. It's getting a complicated incestual family here. Okay, we'll talk about it. All right. We're going to get there, okay? By the way, this is going on too long. We're going too deep. And that means we're going to have some extra classes. So we're going to offer them as dessert sometime in the next few months or something like that. It's up to Tim. But we won't finish what we have to finish. So I'm not rushing. I like to finish it thoroughly. That's just my way, okay? And I think it's the right thing to do, okay? You shouldn't rush the Dharma, okay? So anyway, now he wants to talk about, oh, by the way, what are those opening lines? We gotta say, okay? Say Chögyö. Chögyö. Every Buddhist book ever written should start with Chögyö, okay? Chö means offering, chupa, like Lama chupa, okay? And Jö means an offering of praise. So at the beginning of every Buddhist book, it's traditional to bow down to somebody, okay? It's traditional. And it's traditional to make tsombar damchawa. Say tsombar? Damchawa. A commitment to tsombar. To finish the book. Good. Okay? So every Buddhist book, every major classic will start, especially from ancient India, will start with praising somebody, bowing down to them, and promising to write the book. What's the basis of the promise, if you want to get technical?
That they will be able to use this to reach their goal.
Good. That's part of it. Yeah. It's called the four connections. Right? Do you remember?
Is it a Buddhist book?
Yeah. Every Buddhist book should have four parts. One?
It covers a subject that helps people.
Yeah. It has a short-term goal.
Short-term goal.
In this case, to learn middle way. It has a long-term goal, which is to reach Buddhahood. It has useful and important subject matter. And the first three are connected, which is number 4, okay? If you study the subject matter, you learn emptiness, and that gets you to Buddhahood. And that's the 4th requirement of a Buddhist book. The 3 parts should be connected, okay? Delwa, it's called Delwa. Delsok Chushi, say Delsok Chushi. So the point is, in discussing who gives birth to who, we are using that part from one of the most famous books in Buddhism. Okay, we are using the part where the author bowed down to some holy being. Okay, don't forget that; it's important. Okay, in discussing who gave birth to who, which is proving one of the benefits of bodhicitta. Don't forget we are in the middle of the praise by Chandrakirti. Okay, that's where it comes from. And it's important to get to the next part. Okay, here we go. Sangye Tupe Wambashi Jante. So in the praise, he doesn't say Buddhas give birth to listeners and half Buddhas. And Buddhists come from bodhicitta. He doesn't say that. He says the lords of the munis, the lords of the able ones, come from bodhicitta. And the lords of they come from bodhisattvas. And the lords of the able ones give birth to listeners and half-Buddhas. He doesn't call them Buddhas. He calls them lords of the able one, which in Sanskrit is Munendra. Okay, good. All right, yay, we got it. Why do they call them lords? He says, what's the lords? What's the lords? Why lords? Why don't they just call them the able ones or the munis or the silent ones, okay? Why do they call them the kings of the silent ones? Nyen rang dan chance sen nam le kyang kon nam me pe chiki wanchu damba nye padang. They have mastered the king of teachings, so we call them kings. Okay? They have mastered the king of all teachings, so we call them kings. Okay? And kansak sumba de sangeki de ke chiki sila ngagyo chiro. And when these bodhisattvas and self-made Buddhas and listeners really master Buddhism, they also have dominion over the Dharma. They become kings. So it's not that they have kings over some government power. Why is Buddha a king? Because they are kings who, they are the absolute lords over the Dharma. That's all. That's why they are kings. It's not that they push people around and tax them. It's that they are the kingdoms of the king. They are the kings of the kingdom of the Dharma teachings. Got it? Okay, that's why we call them Lord. All right, and those teachings themselves are the kings. Okay, all right. We have a picture here. This is a very clever picture. There's a guy. What do you call it? Juggling light bulbs. Geshe-la, you went too far this time. Yeah, he's a master. He's the Lord of the able ones. Who else could juggle enlightenments? How many enlightenments? 3. Self-made Buddha, listener, and full Buddha. Yay, okay. All right, here we go. Tubuan denam le nyenran semke pa dena deda tubo. Then it's from these kings of the Dharma that the listeners and the self-made Buddhists are born, okay? And by the way, you can't say it in English, but the verb is different. They use the verb which is reserved for kings and Buddhas, which is tumba. Say tumba. What's the word for star in Tibetan? Karma, yeah. So chunkar is the Tibetan word for holy being's birthday. So if you're talking about the highest teacher in Tibet, you could say, what's their tunkar? Okay, cool? All right. Tubuan ki nyenrang tunso jitayen shina. Hey, how does this birth go? Like they go to the hospital and they go to the maternity ward and, how's that work? Okay, somebody's asking a question. How does that work? Now there's 6 steps, okay? The birth of listeners and self-made Buddhas from lords of able ones has 6 steps, okay? Somebody asked a question. Okay, so supposedly it's important that these listeners and half-Buddhists, God took their holy birth from full Buddhists, kings of able ones, right? How does that work? And so Kappa says 6 steps, okay? 6, in China they go like this. 6 steps, okay? 6 steps. Here we go. Number 1, the full Buddha has to come to your planet. They have to visit your planet. Okay? We're talking about birth. What's the birth process? Number one, the full Buddha comes to your planet. Okay? Number two, they teach the wheel of life. They teach the 12 links. They teach dependent origination. Okay? Cause and effect, ingo. Okay? That's important for later. Okay? They come to the planet and they give that famous teaching on the 12 links. Okay? Which Sugang is translating Vasubandhu's commentary, and it will take 15 years or something. It's already sketched out. We finished the whole thing. It's ready to go. All right. Then what happens? People who are attracted to the listener system and people who are attracted to the self-made Buddha system come and listen to those teachings about dependence. Okay, when you're emphasizing dependence, you are not emphasizing emptiness. Good. So somehow these lower spiritual practitioners are more attracted to teachings about cause and effect than about emptiness. They have to master that first, and then they master emptiness, which just means the absence of cause and effect. Okay, it's two sides of the same coin, right? Okay, so they listen, and then what's the famous 3 stages of spiritual growth? What are the famous 3 stages? Okay, te sam gom. Yay, for $0. Te sam gom. Say te sam gom. In fact, Sarah May's monastery's name is Te Sam Gomling. The real name is the spiritual center, Ling, which means island, right? For Te Sam Gom. First you go to the class and you listen. Te, Shruti, same root as Shravaka. Shruti, okay? You listen. Then Sam, in your car, right? On the way home to wherever, Colorado, you're like, what the heck did Geshe-la talk about? And you're like daydreaming about. That's really Sam. I don't know about you, but I do my best Sam in the car. You know, you listen to the teaching, you get in the car, you drive 8 hours home, and you're just thinking about everything, you know. Hopefully you don't get in a car accident. And then when you get home, you sit down on your meditation cushion and you gom, okay? Te sam gom. Say te sam gom. All Buddhist education. What do you call it? Pedagogy? It has these 3 steps. This is the system to change a person in Buddhism. This is the system to develop a person spiritually. Te sam gom. Okay, what's Buddhist curriculum? Te sam gom. For how long? 2,500 years. It hasn't changed. Okay, they named the monastery Te Sam Gom. Okay, what is this place? Oh, this is where you go to Te Sam Gom. Okay, go to class. Te, listen in class. Sam, think about it on your own without formal meditation, and then do formal meditation and burn it into your brain. Okay, and we're gonna do some fun meditation in the next class today. Okay, we're gonna take those pictures now and turn them into an experience. Okay, that comes next. All right. So don't forget, I said 6 things are happening when we want to have a baby. When a Buddha wants to have a baby, who's the baby? Listeners and self-made Buddhists. They do 6 steps. First, they come to the planet. Okay. Second, they teach and mainly the 12 links. And then the students, Te Sam Gom, they listen, they think, they meditate. How many? We got 5, right? There's got to be one more, right?
They're attracted to the 12 features, was number 3.
Yeah, that was part of the learning dependence. Yeah, okay. And then it works. Okay, that's number 6. Okay, it works. They reached the goals that they were attracted to, which were not interplanetary. Okay, they just wanted to develop themselves, and they reach it, and that's their own nirvana. Okay, 6 steps. When they reach their own nirvana, a self-made Buddha has been born. Got it? Yay. The 6th one was they finished the gom of Tusam Gom, and then they reached their goal. So really, it's this idea of 5 causal steps leading to a 6th step, which is the result. Number 6 is the result of the first 5. That's an important pattern because the next topic in the long-term retreats is the 7-part bodhicitta instructions, where 6 causes and 1 result. Okay, I'm going to teach you something in 7 steps, but really, step 7 is the end of the process. It's not part of the process. Okay. All right. Same thing here. Yay! And we have a silly picture, which doesn't have much meaning at all, of 6 steps. Okay. But if you wanna, if you wanna review this whole teaching, if you wanna check to see if you really got the whole teaching, we can give you all the pictures, and you should be able to tell me what each one means. And a picture like this is a little harder because there's 6 parts to the picture, okay? But if after the program on Sunday night, you want to check and see how good of a student are you, you can look at all the pictures, and if you can identify them, you're pretty. I have chosen all the main ideas, okay? Then you got the class. You can say you're ready to go to the next rimba of the Lam. Then you can say you're ready to go to the next stage of the path, okay? Yay, next part. Then this guy asks a question. And by the way, the sentence ends in nyamna. Nyamna means, you may think to yourself, why? Okay, it's a famous device used by Tsongkhapa. He's like anticipating your questions. He builds a question in your mind, and then he says, hey, were you wondering why? And you're like, yeah. And actually, he set it up. He brought your mind to a question, and then he says, hey, maybe you're wondering why. You're like, yeah, of course I am. You set me up. Okay, so here's the question. Okay, look, many listeners achieve nirvana in that same life that they got the teaching on the 12 links, dependence. Many listeners reach their goal of nirvana in the same life where they got the teaching on dependence. But what's he going to say? It's so common for the self-made guys to lag behind by 1 life. It's so common for them to finish, and then they don't get to be a nirvana until the next life. Why? Some tell $100, $300. Why is it more common for self-made Buddhas to lag behind by 1 life? What's the sign?
Is it because it's a different enlightenment?
Nope.
Each of the tracks has its own enlightenment?
Nope.
They need 500 kalpas, so they just need more time.
Nope.
They die.
What's the evidence that they are often laggers?
Because they need 1 more life.
Ah! How much? $300? Yay! It's like, I don't know, I was studying this last night. I was like, duh. Duh. Now the question makes sense, right? I'll say the question again. Those of you who lost $300. Okay. So Karpa says, maybe you're wondering. Listeners get the teaching on dependent origination, and they reach listener enlightenment, meaning nirvana, right? On a listener track. And then these self-made Buddha guys, they're always lagging. Why? Because they're self-made Buddhas. Got it? Which implies that they did it on their own in their last life, which means they didn't do it in the life that they learned how to do it. Got it? So they're always like, I don't know, retards. Oops, that's probably really bad karma. Okay, they're always stuck behind. So the other guy says, why is that? Aren't they better than listeners? Like, why are they always one lifetime behind? Do they tend to get hit by trucks more? Okay, it's a good question when you think about it, Why do they always lag behind? Why do you think they lag behind? Because they reach it on their own. And that implies they're lagging behind. They should have reached it in the life that they got taught. Got it? Okay. Sedina rangi chanche ngundu mi chepe, dedaki tupe sambi dunla, tesam gosam chepe rangi dupa zopa mi tedo. Then it's wrong to say they were born from the Buddhas. Because there was such a tragic delay. How can you say they're born from the Buddhas if there's a whole lifetime delay? They have to go through the whole Bardo thing. They got to get squeezed out of their mother's birth canal again. Their head has to get flattened out. Why are you saying they got born from the Buddhas? They had to go through another samsaric birth. They had to go through a very painful birth again. Why are you calling them so cool? Got it? You all right? You guys are, when you get this quiet, I worry. Either you're asleep or you don't understand. All right, here we go. Tanda sumbanyan ba konale, dandan topala kepa chungyang, chetape tongchuki kewa de konala, rangyaki nandemi tom merkyang. They do get teachings on the Wheel of Life, the 12 links, okay? And they do, therefore, here's an important connection. Because they got teachings on Sugeng's Wheel of Life book, necessarily they had insight into something also. Emptiness, yeah, okay? You can't get a good teaching on the Wheel of Life and not start understanding emptiness, okay? So he says, look, they got great teachings on the 12 links, and so we can say they already understood emptiness, because the first stupid link is not understanding emptiness, okay? If you learn that you don't understand emptiness, you already learned some emptiness. Got it? Okay. All right. You okay? You guys okay? It's kind of early to do this, right? Che tepe tong chiki kewala. Tong che, say tong che. Tong like tong lam, right? What's tong mean? Tong lam. To see. To see. What's the Sanskrit? Drshta. Drshta. Okay, drshta. Cat. $300. You ready? There's only 2 English cognates for drshta. There's only 2 English words that I know of. There's probably more that come from drshta. Okay? One is the name of a famous mountain range. You're looking for anything that has a dur sound in it. Dur. Huh? $300. Okay. Yay. We have a mountain range near here where I did my 3-year retreat, which is called the Dragoons. Dragoon comes from a soldier who wears a red outfit that was supposed to suggest a dragon. So dragon and dragoon are the only 2 words in English that I know of, there's probably more, that come from the same root as drshta, okay, drshta. And the real root is dirk, okay? Now, why is a dragon called drag? Evil eye. They traditionally had an evil eye. If you looked into a dragon's eye, you would turn to stone or something like that. So dragon means evil eye. Got it? The word dragon comes from drshta, to see, like Tonga, path of seeing is called drshta, right? Why are we talking about that here?
Because of the first link.
Yeah, what's it again?
Because of the first link of not.
No, sorry. This drshta means seen in this lifetime. A karmic result, which is seen in this lifetime, is called drshta, dragon. Okay, seen in this life. Okay, why are we talking about that? We were talking about the time delay for. Yeah, for half Buddhists. Good. Their enlightenment is not
Seen in this lifetime.
drshta. They don't see it in this lifetime. It's what Patanjali calls adrshta. Is negative, right? Like atheist or apolitical or apathetic. Okay, adrshta. It's not seen in this lifetime, it's seen in the next lifetime. So Patanjali in the Yoga Sutra calls it not seen yet. Yeah, adrshta. Got it? Which is why we don't call Ananda Ananda. Why? Yeah, Ananda would mean the unhappy disciple. It's so funny. Everybody says Ananda, and I'm like, oh, poor guy. He's Ananda. Say Ananda. Yeah, that means means very happy. Okay, he's probably Ananda and not Ananda. Okay, it's a pet peeve of mine. All right, here we go. Get back to the subject, Gesla. Look, I admit that the nirvana for the self-made guys is not no, it's not drshta. It's not seen in this life. Okay, it's seen in the next life, right? Drshta. It's adrshta. Got it? You okay now? $300 lady. Now you can take a visit to the Dragoons today and have a picnic. There's a great hotel in what's it called? That little town over there, the mining town. Below Tombstone. Huh? Bisbee has a great, for $300 you can go to the Dragoons at Bisbee and have a nice lunch, okay? All right. Sangeki tenda tembe rangyaki dupa pu nyonge ki le sakpe. Okay. Now say nyonge. Nyong means to experience. Nge means definite. Nyonge is a special kind of karma. And it means definite to give you a result. Probably you cannot avoid it. Even if you do your 4 powers or whatever, it's going to be difficult to get out of. It's a karma you cannot get out of, okay? It's a karma you cannot get out of. And it happens to be a drshta, right? Next life. So what's the karma you can't get out of? Yeah, that self guy, the self Buddha, is going to get to his nirvana, nyonge, in the next life, okay? All right. Sorry, nyonge means with certainty. Certain to be experienced. Okay. They won't experience it in this life, but they'll experience it in the next life. Okay. I have a nice picture. I like this one. Kat will appreciate it. When you talk about a self-made Buddha, you're talking about a tree which regrows itself after a long period of time. And so I love the picture. The picture is perfect, okay? The tree was there, it got cut, and then it came back, okay? That's the whole idea of a self-made Buddha. You were a powerful practitioner, big tree, in your last life, and then there was a subtle, unavoidable seed at the center of the trunk, which grew again in the next life. Got it? Cool? All right. All right. By the way, we'll go back to the easy part. Don't worry. Don't turn off your Zoom. We're going back to the easy part. Sometimes it's nice to stretch your brain. And by the way, if you keep stretching your brain every day, it's incredible. What happens to your brain is nice. But it's like doing a hard yoga every day. Okay? All right. Same dear Nyangde Ma Top Kyang. Maybe they don't reach nirvana in this life. Set up Shentu Nyepa Konar. They were 100% sure to reach nirvana in their next life. Okay? Tope Chirdang, Ngar Sangeki Chitambala Nyen Sam Gom Sum. They did the Tusam Gom, 3-step process of Buddhist education. Pedagogy? Pedology. Anyway. Nyen Sam Gom Sum Chidupa Zoper Shepani. They got what they wanted. Okay? By the way, there's a irony in they got what they wanted. Explain. There's an irony in saying they got what they wanted.
Well, they didn't reach in life.
Yeah, all they wanted was nirvana. All they wanted was to take care of themselves. And it's a tragedy that they got what they wanted. Got it? Okay? All right. Shepani, Sede Konola Samne Shepa Mimbe Chiro. Okay. And to say they got what they wanted, for them, is always a 2-step process, meaning this life and next life, okay? It's always delayed until the next life, okay? All right, cool. Then Chandakirti, Jetsongkhapa quotes Aryadeva. Who's Aryadeva? Yeah, the only thing you can say about Aryadeva is, he was Aryanagarjuna's student, okay? Yeah, he's the one who gave up his eye because he was frustrated. Or then he got frustrated. Okay. Anyway, his most famous book is called The 400 Verses, okay? Who's Nagarjuna's teacher? Sarahni. Sarani, as you say, Sarahni. A high yogi, high tantric yogi, okay? All right, the 400 verses say, Deni shepe kelden dir nyangen depa ma tok kyang, kewa shendu beme par ngepa topar kyurle, ngepar top kyurle shino, okay? If you understand emptiness well, even if you don't reach nirvana in that life, you will, without much hard work, reach nirvana in your next life. It's like that kind of karma. And he doesn't say what kind of karma, but there's a kind of karma called certain to be experienced in your next life, okay? So he's quoting Aryadeva to prove that self-made Buddhas can happen. Okay, all right. Next picture, I think. So I'd like to talk about something, okay? We have time. Another reason to see emptiness in this lifetime, okay? Another reason to see emptiness directly in this lifetime. And we don't talk about it much. And the scriptures don't talk about it much. But seeing emptiness directly is a kind of nyongenkile. It's a kind of karma that will always have a certain result. Okay, seeing emptiness directly always triggers a certain event in your next life. Okay, and what's that? You meet your teachers young. Okay, you meet your teachers young. When you see emptiness directly, you plant the seeds to never again be without a direct teacher who knows what they're talking about. From birth, from childhood, you meet them age 5, age 6, okay? It's incredible. That's the idea in the monastery of the word chuku, or tulku, okay? And that word gets thrown around. People don't know what it means. There's arguments about whether this guy's a tulku or not. Sometimes 2 guys get to be the same tulku. Sometimes it's possible they're the same tulku. But the point is, the cool thing about being a reincarnated Lama is that after you die and you get to the bardo and you come into this life, screaming and pooping, you have a teacher waiting there for you. It's so, people don't talk about it, but imagine what it's like. Try to imagine what it's like, within a year or two, or within a few years of being born, you have surrounding you these high lamas, these great masters, okay? And that's guaranteed. It's very similar to the self-made Buddha's karma. And it's part of the self-made Buddha's karma, okay? Anyway, you are surrounded by great teachers, okay? And of all the karmas in the universe, the karma to meet a really great teacher is extremely rare, extremely rare. So here you are, you're born, and they're sitting waiting for you to be able to talk, and it's awesome. I'm just saying, it's one of the cool things about seeing emptiness that they don't talk about much, but here they talk about it, okay? It's so wonderful to have a guarantee that after you die and go through that sucky rebirth thing, on the other side of the fallopian tube, there's going to be some people waiting for you who know what they're talking about, and that's so, to feel that, to know that that's true. Okay, you could get virus, you could die. Yeah, I know, but what the heck? I already got him waiting for me. I'm okay, I'm all right. Yeah, I could die from the virus, but those dudes are waiting for me to pick me up, to pick up where I left off in this life. And that's one of the beautiful things about seeing emptiness directly, is that, okay? And he mentions it here, and I'm happy he finally mentioned it. Okay. Umale kyang dzok sangye nam ma chungshin niente nam kyang sepana nang sangye ki yeshini temba me parak tu chung. The wisdom of a self-made Buddha springs back after rebirth. Basically, that's the point, okay? All right. The book he just quoted is The Middle Way. Who wrote that? Who wrote The Middle Way? It's a nickname for wisdom. It's a nickname for Nagarjuna's book. Okay? Sometimes Arya Nagarjuna's book is called Root Text on the Middle Way. Sometimes it's called Wisdom. And sometimes, among people who know, it's called Middle Way. I just read Middle Way. You're like, what? Nagarjuna's Wisdom, okay? Which is the next, or the 2 retreats from now, we're gonna go deep into Nagarjuna's Middle Way, okay? Which is really fun and confusing. All right, yay. And you should try, okay? Don't avoid, by the way, in Buddhism, it's a tradition to study stuff that is hopeless. In Buddhism, it's a tradition to study things that there's no way you're going to understand it, because it pulls you up. It forces you to stretch, okay? It's like your soccer coach says, I used to do rowing. They would say, run up and down the stadium 20 times, In the winter, because the ice was covering the lake, we couldn't row. So you say, go out and run up and down the stadium 30, 40 times, And it was in the middle of winter in New Jersey. You get to the top, you throw up, because it's so hard. And then you run down and you run up again and you throw up whatever's left. And at the end, in the spring, guess what happens? Down at the bottom. No, this terrible smell. Everybody in the football stadium is like, what's that smell? Okay, anyway, to push yourself spiritually is really cool. Okay, it's like yoga. Okay, sometimes you just push yourself. Okay, all right. Next thing, if you see emptiness directly in this life, your next life is going to be picture pal. Nah, there's a picture. Yeah, there you go. I just love this picture. It feels like a lady taking her some deep book. I'm thinking of that book you guys gave to Veronica. Speaking of whom. What is that? The Daily Altar? She treasures that, like, unbelievable. And she's like that all the time. She has it in her hand all the time, every morning. And so if you see emptiness directly in this life, in your next life, you're always going to have this book in your hand. And you're going to spend your whole life with this wisdom, just surrounded by wisdom all the time, okay? So isn't that cool? Those are for you, V. Nice thing. All right. So, first of all, there'll be people waiting for you, right? And then secondly, the books will be waiting for you, okay? The wisdom will be waiting for you, okay? So that's another reason why I really encourage you to try to see emptiness directly, okay? There will be people waiting for you as soon as you're born, and there will be wisdom waiting for you, and it's a guarantee. It's connected to the idea of a self-made Buddha. It's a guarantee. It's impossible that it doesn't happen. Cool? Yeah. Tim, are we doing a lottery?
We're doing a question
Oh,
now.
okay, here we go. By the way, that's a good place to end it, okay? So the idea of a self-made Buddha is wrapped up in the idea that you die, you come back, and there are wise men and women waiting for you personally, and they have all this wisdom to hand to you and share with you as soon as you... John Brady's waiting there on the other side, and you see it. You see ahead. And it's such a comfort to know the babysitter's there and John Brady's there with the books. And then you're like, okay, so I catch virus, it's okay. I know where I'm going, and I know who's waiting for me, and I know what's waiting for me, okay? Cool. Tim.
All right, thank you, Geshe-la. So we were unable to get our lottery winner online, but we have their question.
We're having trouble getting these guys online.
Yeah. Thanks for the amazing teachings. I've had many aha moments, but there's still something going on in my mind. How is it that Buddhas actually help us? I'm trying to develop the idea of bodhicitta in my own heart, but I'm struggling a lot because I intellectualize everything. If I become a real bodhisattva and then a Buddha, who are all of these countless beings that I'm helping?
Okay, all right.
How concretely? How do I teach them? And then how do I receive those teachings from them?
Okay, cool. It's an interesting dynamic, okay? And first thing I'd like to say is that the process of Tusamgom, what's it mean? Learning, thinking, and meditating. Much of it is intellectual, and it's not a bad thing, okay? It's kind of like Einstein on steroids, okay? It's like the goal is to be super intelligent, because then you can help more people. Super intelligent with compassion. So imagine Einstein with, I don't know, Christ love in his heart or something. Imagine somebody who's a combination, you know, a physician who is both technically skilled, excellent at what they do, physically dexterous to sew up your operation, and at the same time, ultimately, compassionate. I mean, I'd rather have a compassionate being who knew how to do the operation. You see what I mean? So it's not a bad thing. In fact, it's the goal. in Buddhism that you will become super intelligent, like much beyond Einstein, and then you will become super compassionate. So if it seems like you're spending a lot of time thinking in these classes, that's a good thing. And there's some kind of prejudice against that nowadays. I don't know, in some countries or in some communities, you shouldn't think too much, or you're overthinking it. In this tradition, it's not possible, okay? The more you think, the better. The more you understand, the better. And you can't understand if you don't think, okay? So thinking in this tradition is highly desirable. You want a surgeon working on your heart who has thought about how to do it, okay? Seriously. And you want them to have love, okay? So that's the first thing to say, okay? The second part of the question was, well, what's the dynamic? What happens? And this is the beauty of the Buddhist path in the diamond way, is that your karma gets so good that all the people around you are teaching you. Everybody you meet is teaching you. Your karma gets so powerful towards the end that you never meet anyone who's not teaching you something. And I keep thinking how we drive back to Tucson so Diamond Mountain's in the middle of nowhere. And if you drive to the next big city, there's also nothing between here and there. Like you try to get a good meal, forget it. There's one shop on the highway called the Monster. And for $3, you can go in the shop and they'll show you the Monster. I never wanted to spend the $3. I think you also have to swear not to tell anybody what he looks like if you pay your $3. So I don't know, I never paid the $3, okay? And I'm not asking, okay? I don't want to break the faith. But the people you meet at the Monster is a weird thing. I have stopped at the Burger King at the Monster. I have, because I was hungry. And I said, they said they had advertising a veggie burger. And I'm like, you guys got veggie burgers? They're like, yeah, we got veggie burgers. I'm like, I'll take one. God, I didn't know you guys out in the middle of nowhere in cattle country, you're selling a veggie burger. And the guy said, yeah, we got veggie burgers. And he unwrapped the hamburger and he took out the meat and he rewrapped it and handed it to me and charged me more than the hamburger. So the kind of people you meet in those places, who came to see the Monster for $3, you're like, oh, must be some poor, uneducated person, right? You think that. You really do think that. I know it's prejudice, but you think that. And what I'm saying is, when you get to the end of the practice, you're going to learn a lot from the poor, uneducated hamburger cook at the Monster. And that's how it happens. That's when you get close to the end of when you get through your Diamond Way practice, it should feel like that. It should feel like you don't have to wait till next life, that there's 3 sages waiting for you to teach you. You find them in the Monster Burger King. And they start teaching you. They start telling you something. And you're like, oh my God, the Buddha is hanging out at the Monster Burger King. So yeah, that is the process. And it comes from overthinking. Okay? That's how you get to the Monster Burger King. Okay.